FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words or shit is shit. KDot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. And we got a loaded show for you guys. Training camp's about to start. The rookies are going to be at it today. And then the vets get there July 22nd. We're in full motion now as a podcast. So we are going to be talking about that just a little bit. Trey Amos has signed officially. We were talking about that on the Von Miller live stream. So that's officially happened. Shout out Trey Amos. Congratulations. We're talking about Terry McLaurin this time, as we had said on the Von Miller live reaction. We are talking about Frankie Luvu being a top 5 linebacker, according to ESPN. We're talking about Jayden Daniels being number 5, according to these coaches and scouts and everybody else. And then we're talking about Art Monk and a loaded comment mailbag, as we always do. But before we begin the episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
New week, new smoke. Now lean in quick. We don't whisper takes, we bang them shits. DC, bro, you can't fake this grit. You know the drill, bitch. Share this shit.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Terry McLaurin, right? That is the big thing right now. So we signed Von Miller. That's great. We signed Trey Amos ahead of rookie minicamp today, or rookie training camp. That's great. We got some momentum going. This is good. Now, KDot, we can go one of two ways. He had the 32-minute interview. We can either get into the reaction now, or guys, I'm a data analyst. I did a lot of digging on a particular topic, and I'm excited to get to that as well. So you pick, KDot. Which one are we doing first?
Let's go emotions first. Let's go what that interview did to you, did to the fan base, did to everybody. And then we hit them with the cold hard facts.
All righty. And please stay tuned for that, guys, because I do think that it is informative. And to me,
you're going to have an answer. There's no opinion.
I've got a clear answer.
I've
got a clear answer. Yeah. On a lot of this with Terry McLaurin, digging into the numbers, using examples from the past of wide receivers. So we'll get to that. But KDot, he did speak for 32 minutes after an Eastern Motors commercial with Chick Hernandez, with JP Finley, Nikki Jafala. The heavy hitters were there. John Keim was in Bristol, so he was not there, but he had an NFL Live piece. Shout out to him, by the way. He killed it on NFL Live. Your reaction, KDot, to the 32 minutes of Terry talking about this situation?
I think I have to immediately pull the reverse card and ask, how did you feel?
That's fair. I was getting emotional. I'm not going to lie. Listening to him speak, listening to him talk about his disappointment and frustration. Initially, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Then you find out they haven't spoken for a month. And I'm like, okay, don't like that. Especially as the guy that's been saying, I'm totally fine. We're going to get it done by training camp, etc. And then you hear him talk about what it means to be in this area. And that's when it started pulling on the strings a little bit, and how he's like, I want to be here. And I get it. It's part of the negotiations. But for a guy as wholesome and as hardworking and Mr. Commander Terry McLaurin, through the Redskins, through the football team, through the Commanders, that hurt. And listening to other people's reactions on it and reading through the comments, the very first one is, bruh, I'm just pissed. And it had like 150 likes on it. Like, everyone, don't fuck with Terry is what started happening for me. And I was like, it's a negotiation. It's part of the process. But that was my takeaway. I was like, oh my God, he better not leave. That was it. Your reaction?
I think it's one of those interviews, especially when you know he's shooting an Eastern Motors commercial. If you're local, you know what that means to us, right? You do that in a Paisanos commercial, you're fucking golden. Maybe Stanley Steamer. Well, like, from a fan perspective, just watching that interview, you can see full well why Terry McLaurin has endeared himself to our fan base the way he has. And he brings it up. You can't help but think about all those bittersweet memories of nothing but fucking losing. But hey, Terry was here and he was always a stand-up professional and he was always the chief commander. And like the interview felt like vibes, man. Like it felt just like vibes, but not great vibes. Just like, hey, we don't want this to end vibes. And I think I can understand the emotionality of it. But I can tell you this, listen to that interview actually made me feel more faith that a deal is going to get done than I ever had this entire offseason, to be completely honest. And I actually think it's because of that piece where he says that he hasn't talked to them. I think that's where people get into trouble. I understand the disrespect standpoint that Terry's coming from. And like, look, you've been Mr. Commander. You've been Mr. Redskin, Mr. Washington football team, as a matter of fucking fact. But it's like, hey, I thought that it was going to be one way and it's not another way, but like things aren't gone too far. I'm not asking for a trade. I just want to feel respected. But then he also says respect and value can kind of come with that number that comes next to whatever the contract is. And so when I hear that, I'm like, that's the job. Adam Peters, to my opinion, this has been one of the weirdest wide receiver markets you can find. And then also looking at it in the sense that I still don't think you can find a direct comp for Terry that makes all the sense in the world. So I think if you're Adam Peters, you're like, let's let everything fall where it needs to fall before we even start discussing a number. Because when things get said that can't be taken back is when you have those moments. I told you the story you hear about the TJ Watt situation with him, where it's like he should feel lucky to be a Steeler. You should feel lucky to have me. We don't want that. Like we don't need that sort of animosity or the back and forth or whatever that's happening. I think right now Washington's basically like, hey, we got to see what everybody else is getting paid. Garrett Wilson was another domino that kind of fell. So I think right now it's like, I don't know if you saw Zach Ertz on Kay Adams.
Mm-hmm.
It's July. Games don't start until September. We got time and we know who Terry is. And I think that when Terry in that interview talks about, he's still talking to the players. He's still talking to Jayden. He's still in the loop. It ain't like he's gone away and is just doing his own thing. It ain't like he went some faraway land, is not in contact with anybody. He's still staying involved in all this. And if I couple that with what I've heard as far from the coaching staff and Dan Quinn and everybody early on in this offseason, they've talked to everybody. They know what everybody's doing. They haven't felt any sort of way about that. So I think right now what you're seeing is the business side of things being treated as a business. And I think what Adam Peters' perspective has got to be is that, hey, I get you guys in the door. You don't need to like me. Like you don't have to like me. As long as the coaches and everybody, you guys on the same page and the players on the same page, I can still make the business decision the way I need to make the business decision.
But I do think it's a reasonable expectation on Terry's side of things. And this is where we don't know what the numbers are being thrown around are, right? Like we don't know what Terry's crew asked for before they didn't speak for a month. We don't know, right? But what we do know based on national media reports, and by the way, the national media getting increasingly plugged in over here. That's another thing that's also occurring. Is that 30 million number matters to him. And that became quite clear with the way he was speaking. I see myself as an elite receiver.
Yes.
Age is just a number. We'll get to that in the data deep dive in just a moment. Like that stuff clearly is 30 million or more, please. Like that's what that was saying quite clearly, in my opinion, because you talk about being the elite wide receiver. Go ahead.
I still think it's all inferred. I think that one could make the reasonable assumption that 30 mil is the number that everybody's looking at or the number that might make him feel satiated. I don't know if it's the number of years in the contract. I don't know if it's the guarantees that ends up being the thing. So I don't know exactly what the sticking point is, but I also understand, look, it almost pains me to fucking say this. The only reason I do this is because we do this podcast, because I'm trying to look at all sides when it comes to any sort of situation. I am not one to take management's side in any fucking thing. I'm a fucking burn it all down for all I give a shit. You're under contract, son. Like we're under no obligation to talk to you or your camp because you're under contract. You sign you renegotiate it. We sign you an extension and you're under contract. You want something, which is cool. And we're not creating a big funk about the fact that you might not show up to something.
Right.
That's the cool part about it. So, like, I don't see any. So, like, I get it from a Terry McLaurin standpoint in the sense of how he put his heart and soul into the team and wanting a certain thing back. I get that. But the business side of it, I almost think that it is a better thing for them not to communicate if there's a thing when it comes to numbers and they still got leeway and everybody wants
Sure. I think there's a good shot that the number is coming down and that there will be a compromise. If you guys haven't seen it, Believe that network, they put out an episode with Scott Jackson as the host, and Ian Rappaport was on. And he did say, and we'll put the link to it in our description, that he does believe a deal will get done because both sides want it done. We know Terry's side obviously wants it done, right?
Right.
But some people I think maybe thought, okay, they didn't speak for a month. Commanders maybe don't want it done because they got Debo coming up. No, they do want it done. And that's coming from Rap Sheet, who's very plugged in. And so you can trust that both sides want it done. This is just part of the negotiation. Wanted to push back just for a moment, KDot.
Yeah.
Management, you're under contract. We don't need to speak to you. That is true. And with a 9 to 5, for example, you have that at will termination that's possible, but that's a pretty consistent. You're just going through the year. That's whatever. And there's no set end date on a lot of, typical 9 to 5s and stuff like that. Now, in Terry's case, there is a known end date, and it's a standard practice to negotiate the new one a year prior. That's what this is. So from that perspective, I agree with you, but then plugging it into the NFL world, there is a bit of an expectation there.
I don't know. I think that every organization, every franchise has done a little bit differently. And I think what you're also seeing is Adam Peters is a situation where he's a new GM carving out a name for himself, or how it is that it's going to be under his administration. And I think that there are some teams where they're like, hey, we're not talking about this shit until X a certain point of time. Or, hey, we don't think that, and to my point is like the only thing that would benefit as far as the Commanders even reaching out to Terry's camp at this particular point in time is to satiate Terry and how he's feeling, which might be very important to some people. But from a business, if we're looking at it just from a strictly business standpoint, if in 3 weeks from now, Terry gets a contract that's $31 million a year at 3 years or 4 years, whatever the fuck it is he wants, with crazy guarantees, will anyone remember the period in which they didn't talk for a month in this particular offseason? No, it'll still be thought around the league that Washington takes care of their own. It'll still be known around the league that Washington is a team that that is still up and coming and cool. Nobody's going to think less of Adam Peters as long as the deal gets done. Now, if we do all this posturing and bullshit and the deal doesn't get done, we open up a whole other thing. But from what I'm seeing, I don't see in any way, shape, or form it necessarily benefits the team from overly communicating with Terry's camp at this particular point.
Do you think San Francisco has a reputation for taking care of their own? Like, that's how people view them? They give the deals. They do.
Yeah, no, they give I think San Francisco is a sticky wicket in the sense of the way that things were early compared to the way things are now and windows closing. So, like, I do think that there was an element of they did take care of their own. And then after, like, Debo Samuel being one of them, and that contract didn't look great after the fucking injuries, right? So, like, they have done, I think, a fairly good job. I mean, even Trent Williams was more than willing to go there to fucking stay with us, but we're a low bar. But from what I understand, San Francisco has been in that front office was always top or echelon in the league as far as the way the players and everybody felt about them. San Francisco was one of those teams in which we looked at was one of the class acts. I do think that has changed a bit because they have been in that Super Bowl window for how long now? And it finally comes time where that shit starts to age up and they haven't won it. So now people have to get treated a little less with dignity than they might have been a few years ago. So I think it's an interesting situation. And if you give me a Super Bowl window with Jayden Daniels, who's better than anybody that fucking San Francisco's had at quarterback in quite some time, then I take that if it means, hey, 5, 6, 7 years down the road, you're going to have uncomfortable conversations. Every team has to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah, all I'm saying is Adam Peters coming from San Francisco, yes, it is his first time being a GM. He's making a name for himself. And I think as we dive into the numbers here in just a moment, that he would be making a mistake having this bleed into training camp. Now, I trust Terry's taking care of himself. And looking at the career log after the fact when he was like, I don't get hurt. I take care of myself. I don't miss games. He is right. He is 100% right. You cannot replicate the game speed. You cannot replicate all the coaching you're getting and the repetitions that you're getting early on. You are just going to miss those. And I'd rather, now that we have Von Miller in the building, that's a bit of an exciting move, right, towards a really nice season. Fucking with the vibes right now, I don't think is wise.
Okay, but because 49ers training camp holdouts, Nick Bosa, Michael Crabtree, Frank Gore, Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, Jerry Rice,
Juwan Jennings.
So what I'm saying is, like, look, there are going to be times that feel uncomfortable like this. And my thing is with Terry, look, everyone would feel better him being in the house. You remember, I even went as far as to say that when it came down to Lermy Tunsil and Marshawn Lattimore, I wanted to see everybody in the building for all of this as far as what it felt like and what it meant like, right? But everybody told me, hey, motherfucker, they ain't the real world. Wake the fuck up. And I'm like, okay, cool. I understand. Pipe dream.
Right.
And right now I'm in a situation where we're talking about the money. Fuck how it is you feel about X, Y, and Z. Fuck how it is you feel endured to this, that, and the other from a pure business standpoint. You're looking at the X's and O's of that contract. And I'm with you. I think as we're going through this exercise,
correct.
If I am making the decision, I make the decision to pay Terry McLaurin because I do believe he's worthwhile paying. But I also know that if I was looking at this from the front office's standpoint, until I knew exactly what it is I had to pay, I'm not talking to him.
So, what's your highest number, KDot, before we move to this other stuff? 32
starts to feel silly. But I like 32 is a number. If I'm on the high end, I'm like, motherfucker, you better not complain about this. This is legit. And
you're like 396, basically.
Maybe.
The AJ Brown contract, probably fewer guarantees. Like
that's exactly what I'm looking like for an extent. I think that it's not disrespectful, and it's also comes in line with where it is that I think Terry is.
Yeah.
Although all these receivers just got paid, so it might be a little bit before the market gets reset again. But here you go. And if you felt some sort of way because we didn't talk to you for a month, you better know that $2 million is for that and shut the fuck up.
So cool to transition, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so as we transition to this next piece, one of the things that Terry McLaurin said was, hey, I don't have a lot of tread on my tires. What people don't necessarily know is that when I was at Ohio State, I didn't play much my first and second year. So yes, I'm going to be 30, but I also I still feel fresh and I think my game is going to mature wonderfully. And so that got me thinking, okay, well, how many other people, because we talk about Terry being in a unique situation. He was 29 years old entering last season, basically. He was 28 in 360 days or something. But that was his situation. He ends up balling out. And then you see all these other receivers getting paid, but they're 27, they're 25, etc. So what does it look like when you are year 6 in the league and you have a year like Terry had? So I decided to find all the data I could, and I found 5 wide receivers that ended up in Terry McLaurin's group. So here's the criteria for it, okay? So you're 29 years old that year. That's 1. 2, you needed to have over 1,000 yards that season. Obviously, it's your 6th year in the NFL. That's 3. Continuity. So the 3 years of production we look at after, you have to be on the same team. If you're switching around, it can fuck with the numbers. So I'm not doing that. And you must be wide receiver 1 on your team. You must be the clear cut, because if you're a wide receiver 2, that can get a bit finicky. So that's the criteria. We ended up with 5. They are Chad Johnson, Donald Driver, Joe Horn, Marvin Harrison, and Roddy White. And so we're going to look at them, and then we're going to look in contrast to people in their 29-year-old season, but year 8 in the league. So, KDot, can you pull up Marvin Harrison, please?
I can do that.
That would be great. So, age 29 entering that season, he ends up getting 109 catches, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns in his 6th year as a pro. How did he do the next 3 years? Well, that next year was unbelievable. 147 catches, 1,700 yards, 11 touchdowns. And then the next one, 110 catches, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns, 95 catches, 1,200 yards, 15 touchdowns. 9. Okay, so that's 1. And I will recognize right now and say it, guys, that is an anomaly. Okay, because the next few we're going to look at aren't going to be Marvin Harrison, who is a legend and Hall of Famer. Okay, but that's 1. KDot, can you pull up Donald Driver?
I can do that as well.
Thank you very much. So, Donald Driver, 7th round pick for the Green Bay Packers. He's 29 and a half when the season started. He had 1,286 yards, 9 touchdowns. And then if you look at the next 3 years, pretty consistent in terms of yards. It's all in the 1,200 yard range. Touchdowns, as we know, sometimes they're down, sometimes they're up. We got 5, 8, and 3 respectively. But he produces the next 3 years. Now, KDot, can we shift over to Joe Horn, please?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and he's a 5th round pick by the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, he ends up being a New Orleans legend there with the Saints. In 2001, he ended up with 1,265 yards. And you look at the next 3 years, 1,300 yards, then a dip. Okay, so let's acknowledge that dip. 973 yards, still 10 touchdowns, so it's a good year. And then about 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. Switching to Chad Johnson, please. Assuming he's there.
Well, for some reason, I don't see Chad, but I'm going to make sure, because I know I made Chad.
We'll tell you what, I can read his stats right. I can read his stats right now. Okay?
Yeah, I don't have Chad.
No problem. So I had this just in case. So Chad Johnson, 1,300 yards, 1,370 to be exact, when he was 29 years old in his 6th year. After that, 1,400 yards, then just 500, and then 1,000. Okay, so you get a dip. You can call it a dip and a half if you want to over there with Chad Johnson. And finally, Roddy White, if you have him. Otherwise, I have his numbers. Thank you. So we're looking at, once again, age 29 year, 1,400 yards, 11 touchdowns. 1,348 is still very good. 1,527, fantastic. And then your dip at 711 yards. So I see one dip over there. So recapping them, sorry, this is a mouthful, guys, but Marvin Harrison, steady all the way through. Donald Driver, steady all the way through. Roddy White had a dip. Chad Johnson had a dip. And then Joe Horn, if you want to call it a dip, it was 973 yards, still 10 touchdowns. It's a good year. But those are guys who performed kind of like Terry, because if we pull up Terry real quick, he had 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns, right? So when we start projecting him out, and that's his group based on the data, okay, well, we're looking at maybe a dip. Let's say we get one dip or even 1.5. That seems to be your lower end based on the group that he is in, KDot. And otherwise, the way that he takes care of his body, what we know about him, the clear-cut wide receiver one, he should be steady, if not maybe a slight dip, but still worthy of that money, especially when we get to year 8 in the league. But your reaction to those?
For the record.
Oh, it was that. Okay, cool. So yeah, the 1,400 yards and a dip and then back up. So that's there. But your reaction, KDot?
My reaction is we are pulling some of the most special wide receivers in the history of the game.
That's the company he holds.
Yep. Yeah. The bottom line, if you want Terry to get re-signed or not, is if you have faith that he'll continue on the trajectory that he's in, and especially the trajectory he's in with our quarterback situation, Cliff Kingsbury, a whole lot of that. If you were to ask me if I think that Terry was on the closer end of being somebody that doesn't do a goddamn thing for the next 4 years, or does something pretty close to what these guys are doing, I'm going to choose pretty close to what these guys are doing. So in that realm, yeah, AJ number, fucking number, pay the man. What I try to do, I'd be interested to see as far as these receivers that you've once again, we're just looking at it from a performance standpoint.
Yes.
What I'd like to do is I'd like to see it go back as far as like some of these receivers and when it is they got their second contracts or third contracts in this era, and after where it is they got the contracts, what percentage of that contract was towards the rest of that towards the rest of the team? How much of the salary cap was that taken? What was their quarterback situation? Did they have a quarterback that was already getting paid? Did they have a quarterback that wasn't necessarily getting paid just yet? I know of that list of receivers, you got Super Bowl winners and what? Hines Ward. And
we're getting there.
You're going to get there too. Okay. All right. Yeah. But you know what? So far I would say, do I think Terry's more in line with these guys? Yes. I think he'll still have a very good career, a lot more good years to left. Pay him.
So now we're going to look at the exact same age. You've just been in the league 2 years longer. That's it. That's the only difference. Okay. Same criteria as before otherwise. So now this is year 8 in the league when you're 29 years old. Can we begin with Steve Smith, please? Who is a Carolina Panthers legend. And if you don't have him, I can pull him up. Thank you. So there you go.
How's your wife?
Definitely. 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. You only get it here at District Divided, man. And then you're going to see a couple dips here. 982 yards, 7 touchdowns, 554 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then right back up to 1,400 yards, 7 touchdowns. KDot, I was looking and I was just like, did he not play? Like, what the heck was that? He played. He played the games. Cam Newton showed up. He gets good quarterback play. Even when he's 32, he can produce. Right? Now we go to Vincent Jackson next, please. So, and by the way, Steve Smith, 3rd round picks. Vincent Jackson, rest in peace, 2nd round pick. So in 2012, great year. 1,300 yards, closer to 14, really, 8 touchdowns. And then you see he still has a 1,200 yard season and a 1,000 yard season. And then it's a 543 yard season. So you could say I don't call the 1,200 yard 7 touchdown a dip, but if you want to, you can technically. I'd say 1,543 is certainly a dip. And so that's what you're looking at over there. Probably a couple dips is what I would call that. Then we go over KDot to Reggie Wayne. who is a Colts legend, 1,200 yards, 1,400 yards. Shout out the Colts, man. These guys just produced amazing wide receivers with Peyton Manning there. 1,400 yards, 1,300 yards, and then 960. So 960, I would call that one dip. Now we're going to Hines Ward, who's once again another legend, Super Bowl champion, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8th year as a pro, 29 years old. And then you have 975, 871, 1215. So I'm saying two dips, comes right back up after that, age 32. Finally, Amani Toomer from the New York Giants. That's 1,057 yards, 5 touchdowns. And he's not quite the same after that. So 747, 715, 360, 0 touchdowns that second year as well. So you're looking at 3 dips over there. So looking at the 2 different groups, KDot, we have the wow and Marvin Harrison, throw him out, to just steady to maybe a dip to 1 dip. That's what we have there. And all we did was change how many years were you a pro. Yeah. Everything else was the same. Yeah. And you see about 2 dips. That's the difference. The grind of the NFL season, right? So in conclusion, looking at this, and I recognize just 5 wide receivers per, I could have made it about 10 per, and it would have shown the same thing, but that was already a mouthful for you guys, and thank you for staying with me. Your year in the league does in fact matter. It does matter in this situation, and your age, of course, matters. Like, I'm not saying just completely discount it, but the likelihood is that Terry's going to continue doing what he's doing based on the group he's in versus other people that have been in the league for 2 additional years. That's all. So age to me is just a number. It's not something to be entirely discounted, but in the case of Terry McLaurin, I think you can. And I think you can expect 3 more years with finally steady quarterback play, knock on wood, that he's going to keep doing what he's doing. Like Marvin Harrison continues to be an all-pro and Pro Bowler. All 5 of those guys in year 6 made Pro Bowls after. Yeah. All of them. So that, trust me, I tried to even be like, with other wide receivers, they made Pro Bowls too from year 6. Terry's just one of them dudes, man. So thank you for entertaining all the numbers, guys. Appreciate it.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is.
There are a lot of variables. I still know that from a front office standpoint, it's never in anyone's best interest to have a guy who signed up for a lot of money and he falls off a cliff, which is what happens with a lot of these guys at a certain point. Some of them just stay special and they retire before they do fall off the cliff. Mm-hmm. And some of the guys like we saw here on some of these lists do fall off the fucking cliff. Like, if there's a camp that I had to say that I'm in as far as do I believe or not believe that Terry's going to continue to be a special player in this league, I'd say that I think that he will be a special player in this league. There's still more data I need to know as far as some of these other wide receivers and what it means as far as from percentage of salary cap and what is their quarterback situation is. I will say that Washington's particular situation affords you the opportunity to potentially overpay for one guy and still be okay because you have the quarterback under the rookie contract. So, I mean, if there's any time that you might take a risk on this, this seems like the guy to do it, and you're in a situation that won't hamstring you from a salary cap standpoint. And if it ends up being that that's the last that Terry plays here in Washington before they try to oust him because from a monetary standpoint, you do what you got to do. But I get it. And I still... It's just, I always, when it comes to front office and it comes to these contracts, if we were in a true free market, it's one thing, but it's not. So what they do is they try to base it off of what other people have done and where other people are getting paid. And then you have the comp there instead of creating a whole new door. Maybe Adam Pease is doing the rest of the league as solid as far as holding on to whatever it is there. I don't know. I do think it's going to get done. I do think that even if you're looking at the team and the coaches, I think that they put Terry in that rarefied air when they put him in the bum air. And I do think that you're not going to have a situation where Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, Jayden Daniels, everybody that's here in this building are okay with Terry McLaurin not getting his guy or not being here on the team. Mm-hmm. I still think we're in very safe territory with the fact that they have not contacted each other. I do. Like, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. And I think it's okay.
Yeah, I agree with that, by the way. After, when I initially watched it, I was like, what the fuck? And then after that, I was like, okay, this happens. Ian Rappaport said so too. He's like, by the way, this is much more normal than people think.
Yes.
Like people not talking for a little bit or people still being in this contentious space in July. So rest assured, I still believe it gets done. I have wavered my faith a little bit on it being done by training camp. So
Yeah.
I'll be honest about that. It looks like this is going to bleed in.
Not,
Peter Schrager was hosting Get Up yesterday, and he had dropped a little nugget out of nowhere while he was transitioning topics, by the way. And he is as plugged in as it gets. He's tight with Cliff Kingsbury. Like, he knows our building as well. Number one breakout player last year, Jayden Daniels, not Caleb Williams for him. So he had said, by the way, something to look out for, of course, the Terry McLaurin situation. He's obviously disappointed, disrespected, feels hurt, and we will continue to monitor this into training camp. I don't think anything gets done in the next 24 hours. 24 hours, obviously, but saying that little thing about we will see this going into training camp and monitor this, I tend to believe him when it comes to that. So I have wavered my faith a little bit. It would be great if it gets done before training camp, but then we're in hold-in territory, maybe holdout territory. Needs to get done sooner rather than later, though.
Have you been following the NFL collusion thing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. It was interesting stuff about the hold-in, holdout. JC Treader, bitch. If there's any player on the roster that I wouldn't be worried about if they miss a significant portion of training camp, I can't think of a name I'd choose more than Terry McLaurin.
That's fair.
When I heard Zach Ertz talking to Kay Adams and the way he handled it, quickly, swiftly, moving on, I ain't worried about no distractions either. So, like, I'm in a situation where we're now in a boat where it's like, hey, just get it done. I ain't got no time frames. I ain't got no nothing. I understand, Terry. Like, you want to feel a certain way. You want to feel held by the organization you sacrificed for, and you had to go through all this bullshit for so many years. But look, man, the dude in charge didn't draft you. He don't really owe you a goddamn thing. You're getting compensated. So, like, that's fair. It's tough. It's shit. I do wish there was more of a family element, but I'd be the same one to tell you, anytime you start talking that family element shit and there's money involved, pay me or don't pay me. Like, the business side of stuff is the business side of stuff. And I think when Zach Ertz or JD5 or any of them talk about, I understand Terry feeling some sort of way. He probably has a chip on his shoulder. He does seem like a real grounded guy. I still think when it came to Eric, I'm not going to say Terry's soft, but I do think he feels emotions. And in the sense of the same way that when Eric Bieniemy shut his shit down and he just, well, you ruined that for me. I think that Terry probably internalizes some of this stuff and he feels a sort of way about it, which when you look at it, it kind of makes sense for who he is as a player, right? When we talk about these comps, he ain't got the fucking skill set. He ain't got the physical skill set of DK Metcalf or any of these motherfuckers that we talk about. He ain't as fast as Jamar Chase. He ain't got the size of a T Higgins. So what does he do? He finds that other juice to make him go the way he goes. And I think anything is going to rub this man the wrong way. And I don't like it for him. I feel for him on a personal level.
No, but listen, and to your point, he continues to work. He is insanely disciplined, right? He's able to internalize things, brush things off, and move forward. He is elite when it comes to contested catches. How about number one in the league when it comes to that? And his ability to track a ball going over his shoulder. Only he can do it. I've seen other people do it, but like the way he does it, it is clearly elite. So he works his tail off. I think he's going to be just fine. I think this deal gets done. Maybe it's already done by the time you guys are listening to this. I don't think so, though. But it should get done in short order. KDot, any final thoughts here? I would go 3 years, 100, by the way. That would be my high end. Is 3 years, 100. I think I would feel very comfortable with that. I'd be happy for him. Anything less, I think we might be getting a pretty nice deal.
I think we're at 31-32 instead of that.
Okay, cool. So with that, let's go ahead. Big signing that happened. Von Miller. Right. So we talked a little bit about our instant reaction in the last video. Again, this man is a Super Bowl champion. He's been to 8 Pro Bowls. He's first team All Pro 3-4 times. A defensive rookie of the year, almost wins defensive player of the year a couple different times. Yep. Super Bowl MVP, by the way. Remember when the Broncos won, they were carrying Peyton Manning at that time. And it was the defense. And it was Von Miller against Cam Newton, who continued to make play after play after play. Got ourselves a situational pass rusher that has been to a Super Bowl, that has won the Super Bowl, that is MVP of the Super Bowl, which is unheard of. KDot, your reaction one more time to Von Miller signing.
I still think it's one of those. I'm even more elated about it the more and more that I think about it. The more and more I think about a guy of Von Miller's ability and credentials lined up with a dude that loves the like Von Miller's been in some really cool spots recently. If we're looking at like the time he spent in LA, defense coordinator there, and then the time he spent in Buffalo. But I tell you that I don't think there's a defensive coordinator he's played for that has Dan Quinn's ability to unlock some shit. Like, don't get me wrong, Von's played for some amazing defense coordinators. Denver Days going go. He has, but I think Dan Quinn, if I see like what he was able to do with Frankie Luvu and still asking Frankie Luvu to do more than one thing, what it is we saw with Bobby Wagner and asking him to do more than one thing. If he got his guy who's basically like old ass Father Time Micah Parsons, but he gets to play on a much better snap count to make sure he's preserved for what it is he needs to. I just think I think the world of what it is they're going to be able to do with him, or where it is he's going to line up, or what it is going to be able to do with some of the other linebackers. I adore the Von Miller signing. I went back and started listening to everybody. I listened to a lot of the Mina Kimes show and some of the when they were doing as far as the previews, and everyone all said the same thing. Where's the pass? They need a special pass rusher. We got one. You might think he's over the hill. Motherfucker still produces. And what we're asking him to do right here, right now, from what I can see, will be very, very particular. And it's a skill set in which I still think he's got a lot more juice left in the tank to do that thing. So, God, I fucking adore it.
Von Miller's impact on this team is going to be predicated on what happens on first and second down, because I don't see him playing much on first and second down. He's going to be much more that situational guy that we talked about. Third and obvious is when you want Von Miller on the field. So this offseason, beefing up the defensive line to stop the run. Everyone is still talking about it. Can they stop the run? Can they stop the run? I think they have invested a number of resources in trying to do exactly that. So if you're able to, and then you get into third and obvious passing down, right? Well, now Von Miller can become effective, right? Now Von Miller can do his thing. And also something I think about now is we blitzed a ton last season. Tops in the league, maybe even. And having Von Miller there means actually we can go with 4. On third down. So now you have more help on the back end. You have more help with your linebackers in the secondary. You don't need to blitz to try and get there and put stress on that secondary that I think is improved considerably, assuming Lattimore is healthy, and now that Trey Amos is in the building, based on what people have said, could end up being quite nice for us with his length. So Von Miller is a much bigger deal signing than even I thought when it initially happened. It was late. I was just like, oh, okay, cool. This is exciting. Like, he's going to get some sacks for us. It's going to be great from a locker room perspective. Now I'm like, wait, we don't have to blitz in certain situations. That is great. Like, Von should be able to do something with a guy like Deron Payne right next to him, with Johnny Newton, if he's holding his end, right next to him, with Javon Kinlaw, based on the traits that Adam Peters has identified and what, Joe Witt wants, what Dan Quinn wants. They talk about explaining traits and desire, like what they want out of these guys, and Adam Peters goes get them. This could be even better than people are thinking. I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, it's like I said, while I do think when we talked yesterday about whether or not this was an all-in move for the Commanders, I was like, I don't know if it's an all-in move for the Commanders, but I think it's an all-in move. I think Von thinks he can be all-in with this. And I also think the Commanders, from our perspective, we were in the NFC Championship game, and a thing that we needed and the thing that we've all looked at is like, there's one thing to scheme guys in blitzing to generate a pass rush, but if the secondary is improved and you have a guy that can do it on his own, we didn't have that. And that's a huge fucking addition to what it is we're doing as far as this team goes. So, like, the same way that I feel about Deebo Samuel kind of on offense, I feel about Von Miller on defense, maybe to a lesser degree. You just you found your weapon X that gives you something special that you tried to do a lot of last year, weren't able to, so you found a specialist in doing it. With Deebo, breaking tackles and turning short yardage situation and making situation more short yardage situation to get first downs or getting those first downs on his own. And on defense, can we get a guy that can get fucking pressure on a quarterback without us having to scheme it?
We've got playmakers all over that defense now at every level, which is crazy. From where we came last year. Von Miller, absolutely a playmaker on that edge, right? Then you've got Deron Payne on the interior. You've got Bobby Wagner, Frankie Luvu. We're going to talk about Frankie Luvu in just a moment here, being those linebackers. Marshawn Lattimore, I know people are still a bit sour on him. Some are. But if he's healthy, he's a playmaker, man. Like, he can shut down a side of the field for you. Mikey Sanders still moves to the slot, assuming Trey Amos is there. Otherwise, you could have a Jonathan Jones out there. And then Quan Martin, he's a ball hawk. We were talking about it. I think Coach Lombard had asked in the comment mailbag one time, what makes him special? It's like, dude, he is always around the football. He just knows how to get there. So we're beginning to see a defense that can support an offense and a quarterback, KDot, if you just want to transition now, unless you have more thoughts, that, hey, coaches, scouts, execs, you name it, and they're all like, nah, this guy's real. So you got your solidified top four that everybody's got, right? Patrick Mahomes, number one, Josh Allen, Lamar, Burrow, however you want to order those guys.
I still think I have the PFF tier list that we did.
Oh, yeah. Did you look at that? Well, turns out the actual NFL has Jayden even higher than that at number 5. And they don't anticipate a sophomore slump. That was literally its own bullet point. And the kid is special, and a lot of people are recognizing that. KDot, number 5. What are your thoughts on that report coming out?
I don't disagree with it, and I could see the vision. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, when we were looking at the ranking that we were doing with Rio, and we were going over, like, where it is Jayden is, and then you, I think, came in at 4 was your final for him?
Dude, I came in at 3.
3, right?
Yeah, no.
5, I think, is just about right. I mean, when we're looking at the guys that I do think, like, hey, man, you just got to accomplish more before I'm ever giving that to you, regardless of whatever the situation you have. I can't put you over Patrick Mahomes. I don't think I can put you over Josh Allen, even though, depending on playoff performance going in the second year, who knows where I put you. And then Joe Burrow just being, look, Joe gets an extra little bit of oomph because of the fact that he's dealing in Cincinnati. God bless you, sir. And then there's the Lamar Jackson of it all, which, like, Lamar Jackson is one of the best players, period, in the National Football League. But I still can't help but think about where it is that he hasn't showed up in the playoffs and my guy has, right? So, like, I start looking at all those things and I'm like, depending on where your criteria is or what it is you put an emphasis on, yeah, I can squeeze Jayden in the top 5. And I do think the majority of these lists that come out right now are more about, like, I think it's more of like a power ranking, like a snapshot of where it is people are looking at coming into this year, the guys you have, what is your situation, this, that, and the other. Not necessarily a pure talent thing, right? And if I'm looking at Jayden and looking at where it is, I think the offense is going to be, as long as he stays healthy, which I do think he will, sky's the fucking limit. And if I'm looking at, like, even if I'm looking at those top guys on that list, I still think Cincinnati's in a world of fucking hurt if they don't get something figured out on the defense. So I think that's only going to make Joe Burrow struggle. So he might not have as good a season as Jayden fucking has this year, depending on the way things shake out. Yeah. I think it's close. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think the big thing is just what it means to this franchise and what it means to where it is we are in our run, that we're in the second year of our recalibration and we've got a top 5 quarterback according to everybody else in the league. Jesus.
Yeah. It's one thing for me, being as biased as I am, to say it. But when you get the National Football League saying it, well, okay. Now it just gets a lot more real, right? This isn't just another list done by some talking head on TV. This is a survey across all the teams, across all these different levels, and they're landing on number 5. And so I think with Jayden, and just real quick as a reminder of my case for number 3, which obviously even I recognize is pretty fucking high after 1 year. I do, but by the way, my sincere belief is that he is above Lamar because of the playoff stuff. I think for the next 5 years, Lamar can have better regular season numbers. I'm cool with that. He can win more MVPs, and so long as something's going on in the playoffs for him, I'd much rather have our guy. And I think executives are going to feel that way too as Jayden continues to play, which is why I already am willing to take on that smoke and say that I believe Jayden's better than Lamar. He's a multi-time MVP, man.
I can't get there.
Sorry. And that's fine. Listen, I know I'm in the minority. I might be the only one. I get it.
But I mean, I think it's an interesting combo because if I ask anyone, hey, if you got a playoff game to win, who would you have? Lamar Jackson and Jayden Daniels?
You're getting heavy Jayden.
Thing. Right.
Yeah, you're getting heavy Jayden. So I'm totally fine with this number 5 over here. It makes sense, right? It has only been 1 year. And it's very cool that objectively the answer seems to be 5 right now. Now, also cautionary tale, CJ Stroud was, I believe, number 7 on this list last year after his unbelievable season. He ends up being an honorable mention. So still around it, but, he slipped. So, like, Jayden, he is human, we think. And so it is very much something that he needs to be cognizant of, aware of, and make sure that he continues to be the steady force that he was his rookie year. The calm, cool, collected, nothing seems to bother him. Matter of fact, when you look at the NFC Championship game loss, national media will go, man, you guys got blown out. Jayden must have been bad. And we know, us Commanders fans know, it wasn't his fault. Right. It's not his fault if 3 other guys fumble. It's not his fault if on the very first play of the Eagles' offensive possession, Saquon goes and A.J. Brown's crack blocking legally Dante Fowler. It's not the kid's fault. He was our best player. So I'm excited to see the future with him, but I think number 5, totally fair, totally reasonable.
I think it's reasonable. I still like. We'll see because CJ Stroud. If them getting rid of Laremy Tunsil means that offensive line does not get better, it gets worse in Houston. Even Nico Collins, whoever else it has, there's a chance you never see CJ Stroud get back to the level he was his rookie season. It's not that hard to comprehend, right? I don't think that'll be the case. I don't think most people think that'll be the case, but you don't take anything for granted here in the NFL. So I am of the belief that, my eyes tell me if everything that happened last year is true and it continues, no doubt is that motherfucker a top 5 quarterback. But for me, I have always tried to keep things medium. And the guys that are doing that, is Jayden a top 5 quarterback to me? No, he's not. But you can easily get there, son, with some consistency. And I love it.
Yeah, or you can ask the league. And what I would also say,
cherry picking motherfucker.
I do tend to do that. Although with the Terry analysis, I did not, and I can guarantee you that I could send everyone all the data that I looked at. I will say this: that the quarterback position is as dependent as any. Right? We talked about Caleb Williams last year. And I think you and I actually were pretty hip to the idea that, like, hey, it may not be as good a situation as people are making it out to be in the national media, right? No, they were like, it's the best possible.
No, right? I remember on the rec, I thought it was horrific.
You were like, quarterbacks go to die there. You had said that from the jump, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, offensive line maybe doesn't look good. They probably should have fired Eberflus, right? But a guy as talented as Caleb Williams, we can acknowledge the talent, right? As talented as him, struggled mightily, right? So it is a dependent position. Lamar has an awesome defense, a very good offensive line. He's got Mark Andrews. He's got Derrick Henry in the backfield. That helps. Joe Burrow's got Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins. Mahomes has an all-timer in Travis Kelce. Before that, he had Tyreek, but he still at least has a really solid offensive line while he has these other guys. Rashee Rice, we'll see what happens with him. And now Xavier Worthy. Jayden is number 5, and people acknowledged even in his little write-up, he didn't have much. And our front office went, offensive line needs improving, right? So for him to be as good as he was with Terry McLaurin, and frankly, from the national perspective,
that's it.
Fill in random names. Yep. And then the offensive line being, no, we're going to replace 2 of you, and we're moving 1 other guy inside. So we're going to have 3 new starters, basically, after that season, and a below average defense. And he's at 5. Yeah, look out. It only it's supposed to get better.
Don't do that.
It's supposed to. No. It's about. Now I'm just being 100% honest here.
Good for you. Let's recontextualize that honesty just a second. And
sure.
Just pump the fucking brakes. But also, don't pump the brakes in another way, which is that all year last year, it was unprecedented. Like, there's nothing we keep talking about these situations. This particular situation in Washington, the more and more you look at it, the more and more you realize there's not a lot of things you can compare it to in any way, shape, or form as far as anything that's happened. From the ownership change, the way that the GM situation went to who it is they hired as head coach, to what's happened as far as the quarterback situation, the fact that we're not Chicago or anybody else going into their second fucking offensive coordinator or your rookie quarterback. Who knows? It's like all this shit that usually happens is not happening. You have your number one wide receiver, but he came into the league 2 years late, and now he's old, so you don't want to fucking have. Like, all this shit is just weird. But the biggest anomaly of all the anomalies is what happened at fucking quarterback. It's one thing to say that you're a player to put the team on your back and took you somewhere, right? Washington knows in John Riggins, we won a Super Bowl because he put the team on his back, as you so eloquently talked about in the team history. When's the last time you seen a rookie quarterback put the team on his back and end up in an NFC Championship game? I can tell you, never. Motherfucker. Like, it's never happened. So, like, if you went for definition of MVP, which I know some people do, which is the most valuable person that plays for a particular team, and then you look at what the outcome is, I don't think there is an argument to be made that doesn't say that Jayden Daniels is your MVP last year. Like, if that's your definition, it's not my definition, but it's what a lot of people think is the definition. That's what he did. No other player meant that much to a team and took them that far. You might say Saquon did a great job, but he still has A.J. Brown and the entire fucking rest of the Philadelphia fucking Eagles all roster. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt to compare it to. Even if you want to look at like a Patrick Mahomes, he's got Travis Kelce. His accuracy isn't fucking Travis Kelce. It's just not the same thing. Yep. So this is much more along the lines of what I've seen is like Patrick Mahomes, like early on, you couldn't really. I mean, not early, post Tyreek Hill, but they're trying to figure it out. They still win one, but he still got Travis Kelce.
That's a good comp. Yeah,
right, but. He still didn't have to do what it is that happened here in Washington. It's just, you can't compare it to anything. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the trajectory is like everybody else's in the sense that he continues to go higher? Does that mean he's already peaked because we've never seen anything like this? And does peak still mean probably top 5 fucking quarterback, right? Like, what is that? I have no idea what it means. So, like, prognosticating in the future with a motherfucker that's just changed the ball game. Right. Is a very hard thing to do.
KDot, I'll tell you this. I think we find out in the first 3 weeks, honestly, because that is your situation where defensive coordinators have had a chance to look at the film. That's a narrative that has stayed, throughout all these years.
Yeah.
You get film on the guy, right? So what does it look like? They could struggle out of the gates. Even CJ struggled out of the gates to start his sophomore year early on. But here, it gets interesting because the very first game, it's a divisional opponent. They should know you, right? Have you adjusted? That's one. Then Thursday night. Yes, Jayden was banged up, but he did struggle on the road on Thursday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. You get a Thursday nighter against the Green Bay Packers on the road. If he looks good there, that's another good sign. And then it's, I believe, the Raiders week 3, if I have it correctly. And if he ends up having 2 good games out of 3, I think we can pretty safely go, especially if it's 3 out of 3, that he's good to go. Like, he is going to be good.
No. Like, it's just, I don't.
You're the medium guy. I get it. You'll eventually come this side a little bit.
Okay, all right. Just tell me if you heard this one probably before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Season starts. It's week 1. No one cares about week 1 because nobody can tell what the hell happens in week 1 because preseason is completely different and training camp's completely different. And most likely, Terry McLaurin's coming off of a long preseason thing, so who knows what the fuck happens in that game, right? One way or the other. Maybe you beat the dog shit out of the New York Giants, but people are still saying, "Hey, it's week 1. You never fucking know. Sunday night, blah 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 blah." 4 days later, they have the fucking game against They have the Thursday night game. Against the do I even
Packers?
Have this right? Yeah, the Packers game on the 11th. Short window, too early in the season. They weren't prepared. They just don't have it in them right now, right? It could go any way. I'm just telling everybody, stop forecasting. Right?
I'm not forecasting anything. I'm just saying if those things happen.
You got your goddamn Washington Post bylines already ready. Just chill. Just chill. We got a dude that coming off of last season looks arguably like a top 5 quarterback. And I also say definitionally, depending on what it is your definition is of MVP, is arguably the MVP of the National Football League last year, right? Those are great. Where it is he ends up ranked to solidify or not solidify the top 5 within week 3 of season 2 is not something I'm interested in.
You're just not used to going that fast. You like the roller coasters that are slower. I get it. No, it's totally fine.
Kama Sutra, baby. I'm all
You
about
wanna
tantric.
you want to talk about another
keep it
guy that
going.
landed in the top 5
You might switch
in
out the partners.
his
You gotta
list?
keep
Yeah,
it
we're gonna move
going.
on. We're gonna move on to Frankie Luvu, who also finished in the top 5 according to ESPN. This is off-ball linebackers. I'm still trying to figure out. Then they call him a strike linebacker. It really just seemed like linebackers. I mean, that's what it seemed like.
Depends on who you talk to and what it. But
Yeah,
all these
I
fucking
was like-
defensive hybrid bullshits now.
But
so
then I'm reading through it and I'm like, yeah, these are all the best linebackers, regardless of where they are. They're like, could be an inside, could be an outside. I was like, well, then it's just linebackers. So
is this the same list Jayden's on?
What's up?
This is the same list that Jayden's top 5?
Well, yeah, Jayden's on the quarterback version of it. Yeah.
Just saying, it sounds as though once again, I think keyword the phrase of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is cherry pick. To cherry pick means to choose what things you might like about.
Hang on, I think they just say off ball to sound a bit smarter. I don't think that's coach is going to correct us in the comments.
They're probably the dumbasses that don't know.
But it's literally all the linebackers.
I know. And here's the thing. It could be all the linebackers. You know what I still think?
It is all the linebackers.
Frankie Luvu's top fucking 5.
He's top 5, bro.
Yet.
He's top 5 after one year here. And shout out Adam Peters. What a deal that was, huh?
I'm sorry, Frankie Luvu. The Carolina tape from Frankie Luvu is all I need to fucking see.
Oh, yeah. We were all like, wait, holy shit. If you didn't even know who Frankie Luvu was and you threw that on, you're like, oh, menace. Right?
Get him out of Carolina. Get him the fuck out of Carolina. And yeah, we were all about it. I think he was our favorite offseason acquisition last year.
He was for both of us. We were like, Frankie Luvu.
Easily. And he proved it time and time again throughout the course of the season. I'm sorry, if the defense around him is even a modicum better than what you're going to be able to see him start doing things with reckless abandon. I think he got a taste of it when he was jumping over that fucking line against Philadelphia. We've got a madman, and we've got a guy who I think the way that the team looks at him, at least the vibe that I get, is like everybody loves him, and yet you're a little afraid of him, and that's where he wants you. He wants you right there. You don't know with Frankie exactly what the fuck is going to go down, and you like that. You need a little bit of that explosive. And I'm sorry, but the idea of a Frankie Luvu next to Von Miller and Bobby,
I know. I knew you were going to go there.
What? What are we talking about? Like to learn from those guys and you're Frankie, you still got the rest of your career out of you. That when people talk about this defense, I don't think people understand the way that I look at it. Your linchpin is Frankie Luvu. That's your guy you're building the defense around, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. No, undoubtedly, just to be clear. The idea of a front four on like third and obvious, where it's going to be Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, or Johnny Newton. I would honestly prefer Johnny Newton in a pass rushing situation. Then you have Frankie Luvu and Von Miller on the bookends. Oh my God. Like that is going to be exciting to watch, but it's well deserved. The top 5 is well deserved for him. And it goes to show, like, he just needed an audience. It seemed like Carolina was just so bad for so many years.
I'm sorry. He was doing the exact same thing in Carolina. You just didn't know.
That's what I mean. But now he gets an audience and all of a sudden he's top 5.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. So
yeah, that's right. Sorry.
Right. No, you're good. So now thanks for making the point. So now that he's in that spotlight, he's around a Bobby Wagner. We've got all these wins we're stacking on top of each other. Thanks to Jayden, you get to see Frankie in bigger and bigger spots, and he consistently produces. He consistently makes plays at every level, whether it's at that linebacking level, whether it's in the backfield, forcing a fumble, getting a pick, like he just gets it done. And I'm very happy that he is now getting the recognition he has clearly deserved for years, because we started giving him the recognition when, at least I did. I'll speak for myself, actually. I won't speak for you. When I threw on the Frankie Luvu tape, I was like, oh my God, I didn't know he was like that. And then he joins us and it was like, this is exactly what we saw on tape. Look, he is the same dude, if not better, because he's still entering his prime, right? Or now in the middle of it. So just shout out Frankie Luvu. Bobby Wagner also got an honorable mention on this list. Shout out Frankie Luvu, man. Like, he well deserved.
He's a freak. And the one of the other major reasons I love the Von Miller thing, other than just them being together, is I've been floating all off season when I heard something early about Luvu doing more of the pass rush stuff. I'd rather you be lined up anywhere, son. I don't want you having to be locked into one job. I want you to be.
Yeah.
I want you to be a weapon X. Like that's why I want Jordan McGee to step up. That's why I want your Dominic Hampton to step up. I think that when those guys step up, it provides the opportunity for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt to queue up Frankie Luvu to make some shit happen. Because I do think that right there is your game record. He just plays with an intensity that you can't teach. I don't think it's possible to develop what it is that he has. And when you have that with the talent to go with it, you have to take advantage of it. And I don't think anybody has been able to take full advantage of it yet.
No, not at all. And I'm excited to see what he does this coming year, now that there is more talent around him, like you've been talking about, KDot. Any final thoughts here before we move on to, a legend getting his jersey retired?
I want everybody to understand that the expectations have changed. No doubt. We were an NFC Championship game. This season is a lot tougher than last season. Just need y'all to remember that.
Yeah. Oh, we are definitely going to be playing against better teams. Our strength of schedule, one of the toughest in the NFL. And there are heightened expectations. And it's going to affect some players, by the way, that are not used to being in this spot. Last year, it was free. It was loose. It was fun. This is where your coaching really comes in, right? It's handling those expectations. And that is a psychological element of this coming season. How does everyone handle it? We'll see. Someone that handled it beautifully throughout his entire career, Art Monk, who is a 3-time Super Bowl champion with us, round 1, pick 18 overall, an absolute legend. The Commanders put out a video of people visiting his house in Florida, letting him know that this is happening. That 81 is going to be in the rafters. It's going to be retired against, I want to say it's the Seattle Seahawks week 9, when we have the throwbacks for the first time. It's an awesome gesture. It's long overdue. And it's just exciting news for arguably the best wide receiver in the history of this franchise, KDot.
Yeah, best wide receiver in the history of a franchise, at least from start to finish. Maybe some guys that had little blips that might have shown talent better, but nobody's better. And I'm sorry, the best name, I think, of all
phenomenal
time.
Name.
Just it's Art Monk sound. I mean, it's the art. It's Thelonious Monk. It's the. I feel like I want to just shoot up heroin and make jazz music. That's what I want when I hear Art Monk's name. I just want to do that. So he conjures that sort of feeling.
That's what happens when we pod back-to-back days. Go ahead.
Class act. I remember it taking. You remember as a kid how when are they gonna get him? Hall of Fame, well deserved. He's our guy. Ring on. I never understood why Washington did this whole we don't retire jerseys thing for the longest time. Then it just seemed like there were certain numbers that just should never be worn again. Like I don't want to see any quarterback in the number 9. I don't want to see anybody ever wearing 33. I don't want to see anybody wearing 81, 21. Foregone conclusion. Like it's certain things that like just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Let other people kind of try to make it on themselves. And when you get to a point where you start running out of numbers, we can go back to the drawing board about it. But until that point, until we have that many guys worth a damn, I like this. I love what the gesture is, and I love that it when you have a jersey retirement thing, when you have a number retirement, it does have a tendency to keep a person's name in other people's in the mouth or in the history of the franchise as far as a word of mouth thing just a little bit longer. And I think Art Monk among anybody else deserves that.
Yeah. And 3-time Super Bowl champion with us, right? And consistently produced all the way through. And that was with 3 different quarterbacks, right? Yeah. Once again, like now everyone knows that. You already knew it though, before my team history. That was just me getting hip to it. But Art Monk is, like KDot said, the best wide receiver in franchise history. He gave 13, 14 years for the franchise and all the way through produced, right? Like 3-time Pro Bowler as well, first team All Pro, second team All Pro, you name it. He's done it. And
he did fall off the cliff though.
He did. He did. Yeah, it's true. He didn't make the data set. Some people did, some people didn't. but just to say that he, what'd you say?
Philadelphia. That's where he ended.
Yeah. Although looking at it, 6 catches, 114 yards. How about that?
Is that right?
Yeah, 6 catches, 114 yards. But that was his entire season there at age 38. And before that, it was the Jets for 1 year, Eagles for 1 year. But it was, Skins all the way through. And no one should wear 81. Legend of the game, and very, very excited for him. KDot, any final thoughts here before we move over to the comment mailbag from 2 videos?
No, I think we're good to go.
And with that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. The district divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right, thank you as always for that intro, Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki, just gotta say, that was made way before any of the shit that you've seen in the last few little days and weeks. But Nikki, we might have to reconsider some things going forward.
Did you read the comment mailbag?
No, are you aware what's happening with Nicki Minaj?
Actually, no. What's going on with Nikki?
That's
I've been so focused on Terry.
Is this is a thing? There's some other stuff. You gotta get plugged in with Black Twitter, man. Or Black X. I don't know what the fuck they call it now. Whatever. Get some melanin in your life.
We begin with Hermit Rob. Shout out. So 2 videos. We're going to go with the older comments first and then the newer ones. So this is the Commanders' alternate uniforms being revealed. Terry McLaurin talk. And this is the one where we imagined life without Terry as well. Right? Like, let's say he held out for some reason, or I'm not going to say the other thing. We go to Hermit Rob. Shout out. It's like people don't even watch the sport. They aren't doing the deal until everyone is back in the building so he can have a proper shindig. Terry isn't some average player. When was Cosme signed again? And that got a thumbs up. Sam Cosme was signed, I believe, September 4th. So literally just before week 1 of the season. KDot, your reaction?
I don't know how to react exactly to what Hermit Rob said. Is Hermit Rob? I can never remember if Hermit Rob's a guy I like or don't like. Do I like Hermit Rob?
I like Hermit Rob. Yeah, I think you do too.
All right. I'm sorry, Hermit Rob. I just kind of might be getting you confused with somebody else. I'm just kind of making sure. It was just that the first comments, like some people never watch football. I'm like, who are you talking to? You talking to us? Who are you talking to? Oh, I don't like it. Felt disrespectful. I'm just gonna throw it out there like that.
Terry felt disrespected. Said that.
Yeah, I'd put it to you guys this way. If you put $25 million in my bank account, you can disrespect me.
Here's what I'll say, Hermit Rob.
You spit in my face. I'll do that for free sometimes, depending on who's doing it.
Okay, yeah. So Hermit Rob. No, you're right. Like, I do think that there is an idea that this is going to get done when everyone's back in the building, first and foremost. I don't think it's something you're like, July 11th, okay, we're doing it. Cool. We are going to have people back in there. Upon the heels of everything that you've heard so far, I would be curious as to what your thoughts were on Terry McLaurin speaking, on the teams not speaking for a month. I get a feeling I know where you're at, just to be clear. And I know that after a couple days away from Terry McLaurin speaking, even I was like, okay, cool. I know where I'm at. But yeah, would be curious. It's been a story for a while. And so we had to begin exploring other possibilities as well as we do our 10th episode on the topic. KDot, seems like you maybe have something there.
No, I mean, is this some people never watched a podcast or listened to one before? It's the off season. Like we're trying to make things.
But football's coming back, dude.
Football's coming. So the amount of bullshit from us will cease the closer we get to football. Okay, like no one wanted to do a Terry trade exercise, but we're here. Okay, we're here. No one wants it. Well, we're here. It's no bad juju when I thought anything.
The live stream when Terry finally does sign, we get to wear shades. It's gonna be great. Tony, shout out Tony. OG. Cultures divided pod with Amit and RG3. Sad to see your heroes become villains. I will do no such thing.
See, this is the bullshit that I got to contend with. What's the show you like to watch on Fox?
Oh, it's canceled, but
right.
I don't watch it.
Which is why I've told you guys.
I watched first
paying
things
attention
first,
to the tea leaves.
which did not
the
get
thing with
canceled.
the tea leaves is that everyone is telling me in these streets, not only is Amit leaving us to hook up with RG3, but there's another free agent media personality, Emmanuel Acho, that will also be a part of this trio. Lord knows what the fuck that's gonna be like. But like, just to extend it, I love you like a brother. You are my brother. But like Shaq said, keep Angel Reese's name out your motherfucking mouth.
I'm on her side.
Stop. Don't you dare. Don't you dare say anything about that wonderful black woman, you son of a bitch. You and RG3 and Emmanuel Acho can do your thing. We know here what it is. And we're trying to make sure we don't lose you completely, man. Just keep her name out your mouth.
Not doing a pod with those people.
Emmanuel Acho is a free agent, so is RG3. It just makes sense. I know what you believe politically. It just makes too much sense.
Okay, no, that's insane. That is insane, and also incorrect. You know where I am politically. It's not that. Big Pop.
You've told me time and time again. I only Amit can be the bridge between black and white people.
I said that, the Indian guy.
Didn't understand it.
Big Papa Grizzly. We did do a Black Lives Matter episode. Big Papa Grizzly goes.
I got a black friend.
It was very early days. You remember that it was COVID and all this shit was happening. George Floyd, and it was like, yo.
Yeah, I had tons of white people. Hey.
And we were like, fuck it, let's just do an episode on it. So yeah, maybe I am. Oh shit.
Am I one of those bad allies you were talking about? You're not talking about me. Or you Mr. Black Man that's angry.
Yeah, I didn't even ask you. I was just like, yo, let's talk about it. Big Papa Grizzly goes. RG3 thinks he's for the streets, but he's barely made for the tweets. That is the comment for Big Papa Grizzly, which I very much enjoyed. KDot, your reaction.
I found it funny.
Yeah.
And like I put in a lot of subpar rhymes and raps in these fucking episodes, so I ain't gonna compare. But y'all know how I feel about it. And look, man, I've been trying to warn that fucker for about 10 years now. And he ain't listen. He ain't listen to me.
Yeah.
Now he gets a new co-host. God damn.
No, he does not. Well, he might. It's just not me. Eric Brown, shout out, goes, why are we imagining life without Terry when he's still under contract this year and in our control for the next 3 years? Franchise tag in parentheses. The baseball emoji 3 times. Terry is not holding out when the season comes, new contract or not. A lot of passion there. And the very next thing is a reply to himself going, love the podcast, by the way. So we do appreciate that, Eric Brown. And yeah, no, I mean, I'll start with that. One of the things I had heard on First Things First, which is a show I really enjoy and did not get canceled, is Eric Mangini, former coach of the Jets, and Browns, I think. Yeah. He's an assistant there. Okay. That he had said that, hey, when these holdouts happen, right, depending on how far in it goes, you can get someone that pulls a muscle or tears a muscle or something like that. It can occur. You're just increasing the likelihood of it. Doesn't necessarily need to happen, but it could. So, like, let's say that this deal does get done, but it gets done in late August. And let's say Terry was holding out or even holding in, but he's not working out with the team. That was at least my reasoning behind exploring it. It wasn't necessarily a trade. It wasn't necessarily anything else. It was just, what if he did end up getting hurt? Or let's say he held out. I don't think he will, but like, let's say he did. Well, then we are exploring what the offense looks like without him. KDot, your reaction.
I think Terry's not. I think what Eric Mangini's talking about as far as somebody coming back and hurting themselves, that they come back, are people that he probably has over the years that did not take the offseason that seriously.
That is true. Yes.
So there is an element of like, I'm not worried about that aspect with Terry. I am not going to concern myself with time frames as far as this thing goes. Like, I'm not. And if he ends up getting fined because of that, then I would just say, if you're going to get a deal, make sure he recoups some of that fucking losses. But there isn't. Oh, God, I don't want to go here. There is a small part of me, just the tiniest part. I am not on the team side. I'm not on management side, not on this. I will never be on that side when it comes to labor disputes or anything like that. And I don't like the way the league is structured as far as the way that they do salaries. I think it's bullshit. And if you pay attention to NFL collusion, the NFLPA is full of shit. They need solidarity, and they're lacking it considerably, and they need to do more to flex what it is they have power over.
Cool. Now that you've prefaced all that, go ahead.
I didn't love the Terry interview. There was a part of me that did think the team's doing a good job keeping their mouth shut. Toe the line, bud. Like, there was a part of me that did think that he introduced an emotionality to this situation that didn't exist before the interview itself came out. And if I'm looking at who it is that I'm seeing that is probably handling this through the media, whether it be the rap sheets or anybody else getting any news, it far looks like it's one camp more than the other camp, just based on what I've seen so far. which is Terry's willing to go in front of cameras. Terry's willing to have these statements.
Mhm.
His team might be willing to do that, but the Washington Commanders as a whole, for almost everything we've seen them do, mum's the fucking word. And the same thing happened with the Von Miller thing, out of nowhere. I think there was one article written like 2 days prior that said that there were like 3 suitors of the Von Miller thing, and before you fucking blink, the deal's done. So there is a part of me that thinks like he does feel a certain way, but I also know, Bud, you're under contract. And like right now, if you want the money and you want to do your thing, play your game, go get your money, do what you got to do. But if I'm looking at it just like right now, it feels as though what usually happens, you have the team and you got a player trying to vie for the fan support in their situation. The team hasn't done that, which is a far cry away from what I've seen this team do in the past.
Sure.
Terry introduced that part of it. And I just want, for the record, Terry's the one that did that. So from the emotional standpoint, that's where I'm like, there was a little part of me that just wished, hey, as much as I love seeing Terry, as much as I love seeing the truth, as much as I love, like, there's another part of me just from hey, I'd rather this not have spilled out at all.
No, of course. I mean, I think that even when we talked about this new org, frankly, that's what it was, right? Like, you get Josh Harris to buy the team. Adam Peters is now in charge. You got a ton of new people, not only in the front office from the like football side of things, even the business side of things. Like everything's brand new. We're buttoned up. No one knows what we're doing with pick 2, going all the way back to that, right? Like that's what you're talking about, right? Like we're doing our job being buttoned up. We're being one of the elite organizations. And Terry did introduce a level of emotion injected emotion into this entire conversation. I'm okay with it because he's never done it.
Yeah.
Right. And so like he has been through all the amount, and if he internalizes stuff, you know what? Good. You're human. You're letting off a little steam. I am with it.
No doubt.
I am totally with it. Now, if he did this every single time there was a contract, we'd be like, God, Terry's doing it again. Like, but it is for him to do it this one time and probably his last big payday. I'm fine.
The human element, if it was me, I probably would have made more of a stink to Terry did. If I'm being completely honest about myself,
I think a lot of us
would. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm just calling like what it is, I will admit there was a ping of me that thought, hey man, they haven't talked to you. Just keep your mouth shut now. Like that just a part of me. Cause like, look, if I'm here, when I'm here, I don't think this is the case, but somebody can't tell me I'm necessarily wrong about this case, which is if the Commanders come back and Terry's getting $36 million a year in 2 weeks from now, and the word was, we just wanted to see what everybody else get because we think Terry's better than all of them, and we wanted to make sure it proved it. So we wanted to see what Garrett Will and all these guys got paid, so we made sure that we broke the bank for our guy. Then what does everybody look like? Everybody look like a fucking idiot, but we haven't heard.
The team would look dumb, just to be clear.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Terry be the number one fucking fan. Like, everybody would be over the moon about it happening.
On the flip side, now we're going back and forth. Like, the precedent that would set is, why don't you go ahead, do that Easter Bonus commercial, and now just inject emotion.
But my point is, like, if that was the case, it probably is not the case. Most likely is not the fucking case. If that was the case, how do you feel as far as the team was seeing Terry doing that thing?
Oh, yeah, no, the team probably didn't like it, just to be
clear. Like, what you did? What? You thought you dog, we just had a good week. We did the uniform thing, and here you go, doing it. Are you kidding me? I thought we're batting 1,000.
And all Terry's saying is, I want to wear the fucking uniform. That's it. That sounds great. I love it. I'm in.
He's saying more than that.
I want to be in.
He's saying more than that. He's saying, you got to pay me too.
Yeah. We should.
I think with everything this year, he gets $25 million. Below what it is he deserves. But what is that? What does that look?
You think he's getting
I thought it was like, I thought the guy, I know it's 18 point something, but I thought there was something backloaded in which he was going to get more money.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
This year, that's what he's getting. I thought you were now saying he will get 25.
No. I'm saying this year you get $25 million. And that's what
let me look it up.
If you got me on a contract for $25 million, and yeah, I do want to renegotiate my fucking deal, but I also know I'm going to tread lightly. Why? Now, once again, this is a situation where I'm talking about me and I'm a broke asshole. So, like, who knows? But I'm saying I can't, like, I'm crying for you more than I'm crying for the owners because I don't understand them trying to save a buck, but I also understand the salary cap. And when it comes to salary cap, that ain't Adam Peters to make sure everybody can kind of fit within the thing, right? So, like, if it was Josh Harris saying, well, I don't want to pay that. If he was being like a Bidwell or some shit, I'd be like, all right, shut up, bitch. Like, but I don't think that's the case. They're trying to make it work for the team. I don't think Adam Peters, I don't think anybody from the franchise is saying, well, fuck Terry. They're just, hey, we got to make this shit work.
Right. So he already got paid his signing bonus, obviously. So this year he'll be making about 20.
20. Okay.
Right?
20.
20 fresh money. Like
20
it's
fresh
25
money
on the books, but it's 20 to him.
Yeah. Look, man, I can understand going into that. You want to make sure you have the deal going into next year for X, Y, and Z, especially if somebody gets hurt. You want to have those contingencies and everything. But the way it shakes out, even if you were to get hurt, I still think the team's in a position where the following year they're going to franchise tag him. So, like, I think you're in a situation where you're Terry, where I'm just looking at, like,
has all the leverage. Yeah.
The team has all the leverage, but I'm also saying I don't think Terry's in a bad spot. I just don't. I don't think you're in a bad spot, but I think you're okay. I think you're in an all right spot. I think you're going to get taken care of. How it goes about it, I just think people are being, and I don't mind it. I actually like the fact that Terry gives a shit, right? So, like, we like that. But
I'm going to read the next comment because it's an interesting one. It has to do with Terry, but starts with the uniforms, and it's an OG. Shout out Blood Clot.
Blood Clot.
I'm not the type of fan that harps on uniforms all the time, but these callback uniforms are great. I love them. I'd be okay if these were permanent. I think we all would, by the way, just to be clear.
Yeah.
It would be great. On the subject of Terry, pay Terry $33 million a year, 4 years, 3 guaranteed, and call it done. If Terry got that and was turning that down, just to be clear, I would be like, you are a fucking idiot. Okay? If he's getting $33 million a year for 4 years, 3 were guaranteed. My little data exercise I did went 3 years. If he's getting a fourth, by the way, their 4th years all look pretty good. But if he's getting a fourth, that's a hell of a gamble. And 3 of those are guaranteed. Oh, sprint to the bank or sprint to the front office and sign that thing. That would be crazy. Go ahead, KDot.
And that's what it also gets to me. It's like, I just want the job to get done. That's all I want is the job to get done. Once again, I think Terry changed the dynamic a bit by going public with his side. So now we're in a situation where it looks like everybody has to take sides on this situation. I think we're here now. And if I have to take a side, of course, I'm taking Terry's side. But if we don't know if $33 million is on the table right now. I don't
think it is currently. I honestly
don't know. Like, that's all I'm saying. We don't know. We don't know.
We're speculating. That's what we're doing.
But all right, I'll tell you this. Here's one thing I will tell you about that interview. It made me feel as though Terry thinks that he's in that. He might not be Jamar Chase, but he's right below. He's right there. I think Terry believes very, very highly of himself, and I do, and I don't fault him for that. Not denying that, but I do think that we're calling with the $30 million. I don't think. My case on the interview is I don't think the 30 mil is what I heard in that. I heard he's shooting higher than that. I remember yesterday you said that you thought, or was it after the pod, me and you were floating the number 35 mil. That maybe his agent said 35 million. Mm-hmm. If 35 million is right now what the agents have told the Commanders, and the Commanders have been like, yeah, we're just not talking.
I think that's why they cooled off for a month. That's my guess.
But if it's $35 million and it's like, that's no point in talking to you if this is where the number is, and we haven't talked to you, and now you're in the media talking about it, where we at? Like, have you come back to us with a number that's not 35? We don't know. It could be Washington's at 24, being like, take it or leave it, bitch. Like, we don't know. Like, we have no idea. I'm just saying one side's not saying shit. The other side's saying shit, but then also not giving us any of the details of the shit he's saying. So it's like, where we at?
Where we at? No, that's a good question. That's a good question. If their camp's at 37, if Terry's camp's 37, then yeah, you probably need a month to cool off. Just for a little bit. No, it's fair. We go to Big Papa Grizzly to round out this video's comment mailbag, and then we got 3-4 more from the other one. Big Papa, I have another question that I'd like you guys to answer. What former player that you watched play for us do you wish you got to see more of? Their career was cut short due to injury or maybe coaching. Who do you think had major potential that just got squandered here? For me, it was Jordan Reed. He had all pro potential as a tight end for us, but he just could not stay healthy. I chalk that up to poor coaching, training, and a lack of investment by ownership, which, as I do to, as I do to bad luck. I remember he was the type of player that would catch anything that was even remotely within his reach. a good route runner, and faster than any typical tight end of his time. Never getting to see him grow is one of the great disappointments of my lifelong fandom. So, KDot, one thing I'll do here is say we are not allowed to say Sean Taylor, because that was the very first name that came to mind for me. I think that would be an overwhelming, obvious answer. So go ahead. A former player that you watched play for us, you wish you got to see more of.
So I think the piece that I might stick with is the coaching mismanagement piece. Because like I like the Jordan Reed answer due to injury, but also I don't know if you guys remember, Jordan Reed was awesome, but he was also, maybe it was just me, every time he did an interview, he sounded like the dumbest son of a bitch I've ever met. An idiot. But I was like, hey, play football good. That's all that matters.
Well, hey, Florida tight ends.
Motherfucker was a dog. There's no getting around it. It was him and Fred Davis. Like, there were two tight ends that we had that were like pretty legit that never really got to where it is need to. And Fred's story is just hilarious. I still read those transcripts. Maybe controversial because of the way it ended, and I don't think that everybody has necessarily the most positive spin on him. But outside of Sean Taylor, he was the most electric athlete I've ever seen on the defense for this team, and that would be LeVar Arrington. I hated the way that ended, as far as from the front office standpoint to what was happening with the coaching staff. What happened as far as like where it is that LeVar was being a freelancer compared to not. I think that if he had the right combination, defense coordinator, what have you, I do think he would have been actually truly special at that position, just from what I saw even on the short term. I just never see anybody with that amount of ability on the defense, and it just never really materialized. My honorable mention, of course, would be Patrick Ramsey, who I still love.
Okay. That's a good shout, Patrick Ramsey. Okay, so a former player that played for us, I wish I got to see more of. And then I read the rest of the comment, and it disqualifies this person. But Trent Williams, like, especially now that I'm, watching more offensive line play. Because when I was younger, I was looking at just the skill positions.
Yeah.
Right. Wide receivers, running backs, stuff like that. It would have been great to see Trent Williams now that I'm like paying attention to footwork. I'm paying attention to how they slide the protection and his ability to run block. I'd heard a lot about it and maybe not fully appreciated it. So that would have been my answer. Honestly, Steven Davis was a running back I loved watching. And when we let him go to Carolina for free, I was just floored. And then they're in a Super Bowl. And he was a guy that, to me, was so undervalued, and I could see was doing well, and he did well here, but I think we left a lot of meat on the bone with him, even from the coaching perspective. I really like Steven Davis, and I think we ended up seeing one of the best ones in Carolina. I remember I was watching NFL Primetime, and I think it was like week 11, and Steven Davis scored again. And I think Chris Berman goes, man, what was Washington thinking, letting this man go? And Tom Jackson's like, yep, don't know, boom. And it was just
stupid.
So Steven Davis would be my answer.
It was so fucking stupid. Like there is an alternative history in which Washington rides with Marty Schottenheimer, Steven Davis, and Brad Johnson, and we are something.
Brad Johnson leaves, he wins a Super Bowl immediately. I mean, like, it's just, yeah.
Vinny and Dan, fuck off. Those are good ones because I always, that Steven Davis thing always bothered me. That like the whole Marty Schottenheimer thing was just that was a fucking fiasco. That was so stupid.
Started 0-5, finished 8-8. Like clearly had figured it out with the roster.
He could have had Brad Johnson, but no, Tony Banks. Let's do Tony Banks. Like, what the fuck are y'all doing?
Who had Shane Matthews again? Was that what's his name?
That was the fucking
Spurrier.
Carousel. That was Spurrier. It was Matthews, Ramsey, and Warfel.
Liked Rod Gardner. It's another name I liked, but I think we actually did max out his potential. we gave him so many wide receiver screens. Oh my god, this fucking
Rod Gardner was the dude that's like he's your number one when you don't have number ones.
Yeah.
Like he ends up being sort of endeared upon you because Michael Westbrook sure as hell didn't work out.
There is a safety. I'm forgetting his name right now, and it's very frustrating. Big Papa, maybe I'll have it for you next time. But he would only play a handful. What did you say?
Really liked. I remember Chris Horton had a moment where I was like all in.
Running back. Sorry, Chris Thompson. I would have loved to have seen Chris Thompson not get hurt. Yeah. Chris Thompson was a guy that, man, I remember there were like 3 games. I think this was during Jay Gruden, where he just was healthy. And I was like, oh my God, he is electric. And then he got hurt again. Like, he was always hurt. But man, when he was healthy, it was rare. Fuck, he was good. So Chris Thompson, and maybe there is a safety I'm thinking of. I'll get back to you on that one.
There are a few safeties that fit that mold for me. Yeah,
it's a good question.
Shit, Liddell Betts was another dude that I think could have just been
underrated. Yeah. We will shift over. Big Papa, great question.
Yeah,
we are going to flip over to Von Miller signs with the Washington Commanders. We got 4 more comments over here. 2 come from Coach. Shout out Coach Lombard. Von Miller is arguably a top 10 edge. I don't think he'll make a difference versus Philly, but he could be a huge difference versus the AFC West and NFC North, is the comment from Coach over there. KDot, your reaction to it?
Your third thing about the unnecessary ass Philly comment.
I mean, Coach obviously thinks very, very highly of the defending Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. I get it.
It's no point.
He'll make a difference. Von will make a difference. We literally signed him to make that difference.
Specifically, he makes a difference.
Yeah. And we signed him to make that difference. Like, if we play Philly again, we need a guy that can get past a Lane Johnson, for example. Yep, not many people do it. Von could, even now. Just takes one. So, yeah, that's the reason we signed him. I do think he'll make a difference, especially because I have a lot of faith in our early down defense, the way that we've done things, and it's year 2 of Joe Witt, year 2 of Dan Quinn. I'm putting a lot of faith chips. We got to do that episode in the coaching staff here.
Von Miller choosing us makes me feel better about our Super Bowl chances.
It's exciting. I woke up this morning. I was like, dude, we have Von Miller. Like,
it chose us.
That's real. It didn't actually sink in. Like, even when we were recording, I was just like, it took a little longer because I remember seeing Palacero's tweet. It's like, he's choosing to sign with the Commanders. I was like, oh, cool. And then we did our episode and I was like, this is great. And then going to bed and waking up, I was like, oh my God. Like, we have Von Miller. Here is Coach Lombard with the other one. Alfred Collins, 2nd round pick, 43rd overall, got 88% of his money guaranteed. This is 10% higher than last offseason. So expect these players to negotiate a relatively uniform increase of 10% of guaranteed money based on draft grade, so draft pick. Most of the 2nd rounders, including Amos and Makuba, should sign between 62% and about 90% guaranteed money in the next week or so. Coach, how about it's already happened? The dominoes continued to fall. That was the big one because for those that don't know, the 33rd overall pick, 34th overall pick, so that's your first 2 2nd rounders. That's Carson Schwessinger and Jayden Higgins for the Browns and Texans, respectively. They got what is unprecedented, a fully guaranteed deal as a 2nd rounder. So then, once again, shout out the Browns for doing it again. I mean, it was much, much smaller scale this time, but it was Deshaun Watson, now is Carson. But other teams were like, well, shit, now all our 2nd rounders, respectively, are asking for fully guaranteed deals.
Yep.
Alfred Collins changed that by taking most of it, which was still a record, like Coach is saying. But that was the domino that we were referring to when talking about this yesterday, day before now. So get out your reaction.
No, good to go. Good job calling it.
Yeah. We go to Tony.
Shout
out Tony OG. I heard VN Von Miller and RK Ryan Kerrigan were in the same draft class. Yes, they were. And Ryan Kerrigan is going to be coaching Von Miller now, which is a pretty exciting little nugget over there. KDot, your reaction to that?
No, it's not. The Von Miller being here once again, do I wish that our defense majority, do I wish it was 10 years ago for some of these guys? Yeah, I do. But it's still cool.
Could you imagine, like, there is going to be, and maybe many situations, but I would, even a few. It's going to be the 4th quarter. It's going to be a 1-score game, and it's going to be 3rd and about 6 for, the opposing offense. Von Miller is going to be on the field. And we're like, come on, Von, make a play.
You see Von and Bobby talking to each other with Luvu's.
It's just going to be awesome. It's like, your all 22 reviews are going to be like, dude, and then they were talking again? And I'm going to be like, KDot, what did he do on the play? I'm telling you, he was talking to Bobby. And then what happened? I can't wait for that. That's going to be.
I got excited and I thought about us spinning off all 22 and me having to get these done by Tuesday.
Okay. It's a conversation. It's a conversation. More district divided for you people is what we're thinking about. Teasing it. because then the comments can be specific to the All-22.
I know. It's a good idea.
It does mean more work for us, though. I recognize that. So we'll see. Jess Santo rounds out the
shit. Jess is back.
Out, Jess. Sup, broskies? Amit absolutely crushed the team history video. Really showed off what he brings to the channel. KDot, love all of the graphics and animation you do. But I have a request. New comment mailbag song for the 2025 season. You guys are just lockstep. You guys were also seamless with Rio Robinson. Great collab, lads. On to the dinosaur in the bathroom. Terry will be re-signed. The common folk do not understand how cold and inhuman business is. I think Terry himself is caught off guard by it, but that is how it's done. We wanted a real GM, and we got one. Peters and Quinn want Terry here for a very long time, which they have both publicly stated. Terry loves it here and wants to play here. Unless Terry is asking for $35+ million a year, it will get done. I'm assuming a 3-year, $31 million a year deal, 60+ guaranteed. Okay, that's essentially your contract. Don't worry, kids. This is tame. Nothing to see here. Remember all of the bullshit that we just witnessed with Ayuk and Garrett, and look where they're at now. I like the Miller signing too. At best, starter. At worst, depth. Jess, that is absolute music to the ears of both of us, but KDot in particular, who I could see reacting out of the corner of my eye as I was reading that comment. Wow. KDot, your reaction, go ahead and drop the classic no notes.
No. There's a few notes. There are a few notes, but no criticism. You perfection, Jess. I mean, you're talking about being like when Amit goes and he starts doing that pod with RG3 and Emmanuel Acho, I think I found who it is. We're locked in. You're
replacing me? First off, you're kicking me off, and now you're replacing me.
No, this is your show, so I'm sure we'll have to find
our show.
When you change it,
build that in your head.
I'm just saying, when you change the name and do all that other kind of stuff. Now, also, Jess, I don't know if this is going to work. I uploaded these a long time ago.
Yeah, I was expecting a video at first. I was like, oh, why is there no video? And then I was like, oh.
Comment mailbag, kick down the door. District divided is back for some more. OGs, new blood, spin the block. And to the haters, go eat some stale. Might get a hug, might get some smoke. We clock on, talk, and laugh when you choke. Aim at the KDot, keep it legit. Y'all know the score, hoes. Share this shit, yeah.
Yeah, totally just froze. I don't know what the fuck.
No, I know. I was just like, fuck it, I'm vibing. This is great.
What?
I like the other one more.
Of course. And he was trying to get a female rapper again, you know? Yeah.
Coming mailbag, kick down the door. District divided is back for some more. OGs, new blood, spin the block. And today, the foe eats a stale more. Might get a hug, might get some smoke. We clock out, so and laugh when you choke. I'm hitting KDot, keep it legit. Y'all know the score, ho, share this.
She even said my name right.
Yeah.
Look, Amit. She nailed it. That was crazy.
Yeah, I uploaded those a while ago. But yeah, if I was down, I'm down to do another comment mailbag.
Let's do it. You even started the episode saying that.
Yeah, because Nikki, she's making a problem.
Yeah, well, you're keeping, or not the episode, the common mailbag with it. You're like, by the way, we may need a new song. Yeah. I gotta say, that is the most mind meld comment between you and Jess I've ever seen.
Fucking nice.
Like, I know you guys generally agree, and like that's great. That was like you wrote it. Like that was incredible.
See, Coach, that's what it looks like.
That was the comment mailbag. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to a jam-packed episode, no filler whatsoever, where we talked about Trey Amos signing. Congrats to him. Rookie training camp begins today. Vets report July 22nd. Talked everything Terry, the reaction to him speaking for 32 minutes. My data deep dive, if you managed to stay awake for that whole thing, appreciate it. And then we talked about Frankie Luvu, we talked about Jayden Daniels, we talked about Art Monk, and we went through the comment mailbag. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Emmanuel Lacho, RG3. I'd really appreciate it if you kept my co-host just stay away from. I don't know what you guys got going on. And I know you guys, there's a mind meld with you guys and him about a lot of things, about the way you guys look at women, black women specifically, about the way that you just carry yourselves and conduct yourselves. And
you stopped saying A-Train. That's the most upsetting thing. Now it's just me.
Well, that's the thing. You didn't
character that.
No. Because the thing is, like, I know what it's like when the snow starts falling and the snow bunnies are all over. I think it's one and the same. When you talk about that mind meld, I'm just saying it's like there are elements of this that are just very, very, very wrong. And you think I'm going to cut this off? No, because I'll tell you right now, I think what everybody wants to know is Emmanuel Lacho, RG3, and Amit saying right here, we're all on the.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.